Wow, thank you guys so very much for being here. This is truly an honor. The last time we were here, the Esselstyns were with us, and we saw Ann just roll that big tire across the stage. Did everybody see that video? Everybody saw Ann do that? That was incredible. That's a woman pushing 90 years old, pushing a big old tractor trailer tire, tugging it. Just amazing, the power of plants. So tonight we're going to talk about the power of food, and we have an extraordinary cast here with us today. But I can't bring out our first guest yet without saying hi to Allison Mahoney from the Gregory J. Ryder Memorial Fund, who is also with us tonight. I see you, fresh from Fruitive. Hi, Allison. You hear us talk about her all the time on the show. We could not do the show without her support. So could we get a round of applause for Allison, please? Hi, Glenn. Hi, Brooke. Hi, everybody. So, great panel is here with us. I want to bring them one by one up on stage to say hi before we get into everything that we're going to talk about tonight and really kick off that revolution. But first, I want you guys to get up on your feet for the gentleman who is the author of the new book, The Power Foods Diet. He is the man leading the revolution. The one and only Dr. Neal Barnard is in the house tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a little taste. We're going to pace ourselves tonight. That's just a little taste of Dr. Barnard, because we have also with us the gentleman behind all of the delicious recipes that are in the book. The one and only vegan roadie chef, Dustin Harder, is with us. Wooden bow tie. The man knows how to dress. Love it. A plus, my friend.
Thank you.
We will talk to you.
Purple shoes. I mean, hello.
Yellow glasses. We could go all night. Let's go.
Rainbow.
And a woman with an incredible story. Her entire family is here with us tonight as well. She is an inspiration of mine. As a matter of fact, she is the brains behind Plantspiration. The one and only Stefanie Ignoffo is in the house.
Hi, guys. Hi. How's everybody doing?
Just you guys wait until you hear like how remarkable it is that she's able to skate across the front of the room. She has come a very, very long way. Matter of fact, her entire family has. So it is a real privilege to be here with you guys tonight. And so I am just going to kick everything off and share a little bit about my story. I give you bits and drabs on the podcast, but I want to walk you through why I became known as the weight loss champion. It was a nickname given to me by an NFL player when I was covering professional football. They got wind of my story in the locker room and were like, we're going to call you the weight loss champion. And when you got guys that big telling you something, you just go with it. So back in the day, that was me. 420 pounds at my heaviest, 5 feet 5 inches tall, 66-inch weight. Matter of fact, we can do show and tell. We can do show and tell because I have with me tonight a 66-inch waist pair of khakis. I used to fill these up. Pictures will be available after the show. You get in one pant leg, I'll get in the other. We'll have a grand old time. True story. So 66-inch waist, and my shirt size was a 6XL. The guy standing up here tonight, a little bit different. 140 pounds. Thank you. Thank you. Still 5 feet 5 inches tall, so got smaller, never got taller. 32-inch waist, and it blows my mind that my shirt size is a small. Never gets old. And so you may be wondering, well, how in the world does anybody ever get up to 420 pounds? And for me, it can be summed up in 2 words: food addiction. I'm here to tell you that foods are as powerful as any drug on the market, legal or otherwise. So let's start with a little demonstration. We have 2 brains. I assure you these are not from the same person. These are 2 very different brains, but they are reacting to pleasurable substances. You see, on the one hand, you have somebody using cocaine, and you see the dopamine response, how happy they're getting. On the other hand, you have somebody who is eating a donut. This is an overweight person eating a donut. And the brain and the dopamine and the pleasure center, it reacts identically. That is why I view food as powerful as any drug on the market. So you don't have to take my word for it. There are researchers far smarter than I am who study this stuff, and they came to the same conclusion I did, that highly processed foods, which are prevalent like crazy in the standard American diet, may share characteristics with drugs of abuse. As in high dose, you need more and more and more over time. Show of hands, safe space, when you're eating Oreos, who only eats one? I rest my case. Rapid rate of absorption. You had a bad day. You reach for that pint of Haagen-Dazs. As soon as you take that first spoonful and it hits your mouth, who feels better? Skin, safe space, right? Right away. Drugs of abuse. And my drug of choice was Taco Bell. And I call this my daily fix. Every single day I had to go through the drive-thru without fail. Did not matter what else I ate that day or how my day was. I was going to Taco Bell. This was my fix. Let me back that up. Started with 2 7-layer burritos. Alone, 860 calories, 32 grams of fat, more than 2,000 milligrams of sodium. Follow that up, and doesn't that look appetizing? 2 beef grilled stuffed burritos. This is not a rolling tally. So this is just the beef grilled stuffed burritos, more than 1,400 calories, an additional 64 grams of fat, 4,200 milligrams of sodium. You can't go to Taco Bell without Nachos Bel Grande. 760 calories, you see it. And we keep going. Chicken quesadilla, why not? It's delicious. It's got chicken, it's got cheese. I thought it was the jam at the time. Another 500 calories, 30 grams of fat. But this was the piece de resistance. This was my favorite thing. The cheesy potato burrito, and to this day, I think the person who created this was a genius. And at the same time, I'm so grateful that Chef Dustin Harder doesn't think up these evil concoctions. 500 calories, 22 grams of fat, 1,300 milligrams of sodium. What you're actually looking at is essentially French fries and chili with nacho cheese rolled into a tortilla. Cheesy potato burrito. Man, that thing was good with some fire sauce, Jack. And because I was on like a first-name basis with the people there, they would see my car and just know my order and have it ready. They would give me a free caramel empanada. I didn't even have a sweet tooth. They were just happy that I was keeping them in business. Another 300 calories, 15 grams of fat, more sodium. So when you add it all up, 7 layers, beef grilled stuffed burritos, nachos Bel Grande, chicken quesadilla, caramel empanada, and the cheesy potato burrito, 4,370 calories, 200 or so grams of fat, and a heart-stopping 10,420 milligrams of sodium. One meal, y'all. But wait, there's more. Because my day would begin at lunch at Boston Market, where I would get the family plan with a half of an entire chicken and 3 large sides meant to feed a family or me. On the way home, I would stop at 7-Eleven next to the hot dogs. They have these things called taquitos. I fell in love with the buffalo chicken taquito. I would get 6 of those and 2 big bottles of Gatorade. And that was my snack on the ride home. And when I got home, it was not Taco Bell time. No, it was time to call up Papa John. We would get coupons in the mail. Buy 4 pizzas, get the 5th for free. Great if you're having an all-staff meeting at the office, right? Great if you're throwing a party. Well, this was a party of 1, and this was the deal for me. So I would eat 1.5 or 2 entire pizzas, wait a few hours, and then go to Taco Bell. So at the end of the day, I was eating approximately 10,000 calories every day. And that is how you get up to 420 pounds. And the net effect is in my early 20s, I literally felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. Heart disease runs rampant in my family. A number of people have died of this. Never met my grandfather on my father's side. He died of a heart attack before I was even born. So what do? Well, I had tried a lot of diets, but the greatest one that I ever went on was called the cookie diet. I was going to eat cookies to lose weight, and I was going to be paid to do it. I was working at radio station in town, WBIG, Big 100.3. How appropriate. I can't make this up. And they come to me and they say, Big Chuck, that's what I went by, Big Chuck, we want you to endorse this. Eat a cookie for breakfast, drink a lot of water. That'll fill you up until lunch. Eat another cookie, drink a lot of water. That'll fill you up to dinner. And at dinner, eat a sensible dinner. Make sure that there's a vegetable on your plate. Few problems here, as you might imagine. Number 1, the cookies did not taste like a cookie. Like on a good day, you had a raisin in there, and that was the best part of it. The rest of it tasted like a dirty, soapy sponge on your kitchen sink. Just cannot not recommend this enough. Horrible idea. What I wasn't prepared for, though, was going through detox. Remember, we're talking about food as a drug. And you've heard about people going through detox with alcohol and drugs. Same thing with me and Taco Bell, right? 72 hours of taco hell is what I like to call this. I started to feel sick in day 2. I was trying to power through being a good guy. I really wanted some Taco Bell, but man, I was also coming down with I felt like the flu. I got the sniffles. Day 3, I was in bed, covers, just not feeling my greatest. And then I became angrier. The more I missed Taco Bell, the angrier I became. The angrier I became because that's all I wanted. And I put my fist through a wall because I had not gotten Taco Bell. Think about that. I literally punched my fist through a wall because I did not eat Taco Bell. That's crazy time. So I snuck out of the house in the middle of the night, went to the 24-hour drive-thru, loaded up after 72 hours, took that first bite feeling sick, feeling angry, feeling on edge, and as soon as I took that first bite of that 7-layer burrito, it was the greatest antidepressant and antibiotic rolled into one. I was not sick any longer, and boy, was I happy. But boy, was that short-lived too. Because I very rapidly discovered that I was an addict. I knew that this is what people who struggled with substance abuse went through, and my substance was fast food. What was I going to do? So that euphoria came with a crash and sorrow, and so I kind of wept outwardly and internally as I finished off that entire Taco Bell Gorge Fest. And that, you want to call it a breaking point. There was a lot of things in there. A woman who wasn't treating me very well. There was not being able to fit into an airline seat. There was just not thinking you were going to live to see 30 years old. And so I made the decision to have weight loss surgery, and they go and they give you a sleep test. That's what you're looking at right there. Good luck sleeping when you're wired up like that. And the thing with the weight loss surgery is it forces you to go through that detox. You don't have a choice because you get this 3 to 6 month window where you literally cannot tolerate those foods, or else you will become so violently ill, you will wish, quite literally, you were dead. So off the weight comes. I made the really bad decision also to shave my head. Cannot recommend that. I'm sorry you had to see that. And I kept on shrinking. And so here's me standing next to a gentleman, professional wrestler, who is a legitimate 7 feet, 400 pounds. So think about that. Fun fact, I used to weigh more than him. But I was still worried the weight was going to come back because, remind you, nobody has told me what it meant to eat healthy yet. I'm flying blind. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll see 30, but I will never see 40 because everybody I knew who had had the surgery put the weight back on because nobody teaches you how to eat a healthy diet, what a healthy food even means. So I go to my surgeon. My surgeon's just as pleased as he could be. He said, Chuck, you have lost all the weight you need to. You need to not take a pill, eat a hamburger. Literally told me I needed to. Not could, not should, not if you want to, need to. Had I not had that epiphany years earlier with the Taco Bell, I would have eaten that hamburger. No chance I would be standing on this stage with you tonight. I just said no, but I was still worried that the weight was going to come back until fate intervened, because at this point in my life, I was on the radio with those professional athletes, and I was talking about fun things, and then I get a phone call out of the blue one day asking had I ever heard of this organization called the Physicians Committee, and would Adam Carricker, that's a big guy, gave me the nickname the weight loss champion. You see why I did it. That guy's 325, all muscle. Anyway, said, would you like to team up for health? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was the first time I truly learned how to eat healthy. I learned what a power food was. And suddenly, the fates aligned. Suddenly, I realized I didn't have to starve myself to keep the weight off. Suddenly, I realized I can eat every meal like it's Thanksgiving, be healthier than ever, and be completely satisfied. Show of hands, how many people have seen this chart before? What 500 calories looks like. You start with the high-fat foods on the far end, the oil, the cheese, barely gets the bottom of the stomach coated. 500 calories. You get a little bit more bang for your buck with the meat, but then you get into the whole foods, the rice, the beans, the potatoes, the fruits, the vegetables. Boom! Every meal is like Thanksgiving. You never have to count a calorie. You will never be hungry, but boy, will you be nourished. And that's a beautiful thing. So with that in mind, I knew there was finally no going back. There was no going back. And so those old 66-inch waist pants, the only time I tug them out is to do fun things like this. I don't have to worry about keeping them in my closet thinking one day I'm going to need these again. I need those like I needed that hamburger the doctor prescribed for me. So I was like, well, I love doing healthy things. I love media. Let's put a podcast together. I call the Physicians Committee back up. I say, hey, you guys got a podcast? They're like, hey, no, we don't. I say, hey, you do now. Boom. Here comes the exam room, and it just explodes. And so, we've been heard in more than 150 countries. We've been #1 in 100 of them, viewed over 100 million times on YouTube. It's just been absolutely phenomenal. So when people say, I could never do what you do, I say, yes. Yes, you can. And I don't care how you got here, if you're doing weight loss drugs, if you're taking weight loss surgery, better yet, if you haven't even done anything else, just go right to the plants. And that is your answer to a healthier future. But never, ever give up. Never give up. So that's what brought me here today. But I think also beyond that, what brought you here today is the release of the new book, The Power Foods Diet. I am so thrilled that we are going to be taken to school and raise our health IQs, as I like to say. Dr. Neal Barnard to tell us what it really means to have a power food and let the revolution begin. Dr. Barnard. Thank you, my friend.
Well, thank you so much, Chuck. Thank you for sharing your story and being such an inspiration and such a tremendous leader in the world of getting the word out to people who really need it. So thank you, Chuck. I'd like to talk a little bit about this idea of power foods. And, the old idea of dieting was, well, you've got to count calories, get a calorie chart and make sure you're eating 500 calories less or 800 calories less or 1,000 calories less, weigh your foods. Now, a lot of people have said, wait a minute, we've got to go further because if that's what you're going to do, hunger comes in and by Wednesday, you're ready to eat the sofa, right? You just can't do this. So that's been really replaced by the idea of dietary patterns. What are we eating? And what we're eating might be more important than how much. And so the idea maybe less chicken, more chickpeas came in. And I'm going to credit the Adventist Health Study and ones similar to it because they looked at different populations. In the Adventists, Seventh-day Adventists, have been under the microscope for a long time for one reason. They are a nutrition researcher's dream population. Huge population of non-smoking teetotalers who vary a little bit in diet. And some of them in the red bar, those are non-vegetarians, omnivores. And that's their body mass index. They're the red bar, highest BMI. And then next to it is semi-vegetarians. They eat meat, but no more than once a week. And the tan bar is pesco-vegetarians. What's that? What's a pesco-vegetarian? Okay, fish, but no other meat. And they're a little bit slimmer. And then it's the lacto-ovo-vegetarians, lacto for dairy products, ovo for eggs, but no meat. And by the way, once in a while I run into somebody who says, well, I'm pretty much vegetarian, but I do have eggs and milk and some fish and some chicken. And I call them the ovo-lacto-pesco-polo-vegetarian. And then a vegan is not a person from the planet Vegas. It's a person who just doesn't eat the animal products. And they are not only the slimmest group, but if you did the math, for a person 5'9", that's about a 35-pound difference between the red bar and the blue bar. So we and others took quite an interest in vegan diets and plant-based diets. However, not all foods are created equal. For example, a potato or potato chips. Are they the same? No, the potato chips are loaded with oil, more calorie dense, not so good. If I have white bread, whole grain bread, are they the same? No, the whole grain bread has all the fiber, and that's got some advantages we'll talk about. Olive oil, coconut oil, are they the same? Well, they actually both have 9 calories per gram, which is an eternal disappointment to people promoting extra virgin olive oil as some great nutritional thing. It's every bit as caloric as coconut oil or 1040 motor oil, for that matter. Not making this up, it's true. But what makes coconut oil especially bad is it's 83% saturated fat. So you can hear your coronary arteries snapping closed as you read the label. So it's a worse quality of fat, but they're both equally fattening. Okay, here's the point. Certain foods are actually much better for weight loss than other foods, and we call them power foods, and that's what I want to really talk about tonight. So power foods, they either work by taming the appetite so that you're full and satisfied, but you haven't eaten a huge amount of food. Some of them trap calories so that you can't absorb them, and some of them boost your metabolism so that you burn calories faster. Let me just walk you through this a little bit. This is a blueberry. This is a bunch of blueberries. And the reason I'm showing you blueberries is our friends at Harvard University did a really cool study. 2015, they looked at more than 100,000 people, and they tracked what they ate as the years went by, and they discovered something amazing, that the more of certain foods people ate, the more weight they tended to lose as the years went by. In other words, if they ate lots and lots and lots of certain foods, their weight would go down and down and down and down. So the number one food was berries, and that could be blueberries, but it could also be strawberries or raspberries, or even a muffin with blueberries in it, as long as it didn't have a tablespoon of butter stuck into it. But berries were the number one food. The more of these people ate, the more weight they lost. Number two was cruciferous vegetables like broccoli or cauliflower or Brussels sprouts. And number three was green leafy vegetables in general. So that could be things like spinach or asparagus or salad greens. All the green leafy vegetables are healthy, and they all seem to be part of this. Number four was melon. By the way, don't buy a melon and leave it on your counter because nobody will eat it. When you get it home, cut it up into little dice things, put it in the fridge. It will disappear in a half an hour. Okay, citrus fruits was number five, and this was true not just for oranges and grapefruits, but even for juice. The much maligned juice, don't have juice. At Harvard, it seemed to work. So fair enough. And number six was the humble bean. Legumes in general, like black beans and bean burritos and anything that isn't a pod, lentils and so forth. But back to berries. Let's kind of explore what the heck this is about. The thing you notice about berries is they're blue. And that blue color comes from what are called anthocyanins. And anthocyanins, that's nature's painting box. Some of them are blue. Some other anthocyanins are red, like in a strawberry. And in October and November, when the leaves turn, those are all different anthocyanins that make colors. And I have suggested that part of color vision is our ability to actually recognize antioxidants, like the orange in the beta-carotene in a carrot or a sweet potato, and the red lycopene in a tomato, and the anthocyanins in blueberries. So researchers at Harvard had found that berries were the top of the weight loss list. Researchers in the UK did an amazing follow-up study. They brought in more than 2,700 twins, identical twins. And everybody got a DEXA scan. That's a scan where you lie down on a table and we're scanning how much body fat do you have and where is it on your body. And what they discovered was that the twin with the most anthocyanin intake had less body fat overall, but specifically less abdominal fat, about 9% less abdominal fat, compared to her genetically identical sister. So you're taking the genes out of it, and it's something about these foods. So what we're looking for always is consistency, because you could find any fluky finding for any food, but you're looking for consistent evidence about benefit. And then it turned out that it wasn't just blueberries. It was anything that had anthocyanins in it, including like the red blush on a pear. That's anthocyanin too. All good. It's not just berries. Look at a cinnamon stick. Researchers have been teasing apart cinnamon, and it has an aldehyde chemical in it. Aldehyde is a chemical class. And researchers, being sort of uncreative people, they wear bow ties, you know, and they named it cinnamaldehyde, is the best they could do. But cinnamaldehyde increases your metabolism. Here's what happens. You have a receptor in your gut called TRPA1, And the cinnamon toast or the cinnamon-flavored oatmeal that you had releases the aldehyde that attaches to that receptor in your digestive tract, which then triggers the release of adrenaline in your blood, and your metabolism rises. And you're thinking, well, that was nice toast, but your body is actually increasing its calorie burn as a result of eating it. So is this real? Well, first of all, researchers did a double-blind trial where they brought in 100 and some participants, and they gave half of them capsules with actual powdered cinnamon and the other capsules with the placebo. And what they found is over 16 weeks that having 3 grams of cinnamon, which is just a teaspoon, caused a weight loss of about 7.5 pounds of these individuals compared to the others. Now, I thought, okay, fair enough, but we need consistency of evidence to see if this is a fluke. And so this will not be on the test, but what we do is, when you do a systematic review, what you do is you look, every line is a different test, a different study done by different authors. And then if you're on the 0 line, which is the solid line, that means nothing happened, but you're substantially to the left of that, meaning that in every study you're seeing some weight loss. So you're seeing consistency of evidence. And then what we think is happening is simply eating these foods affects your body's ability to burn calories. Okay, capsaicins. If you happen to go to a fast food restaurant and they overdid it on the jalapenos on your burrito, the capsaicinoids in it that make your tongue burn also trigger thermogenesis. So your body starts to sweat and your body temperature actually does rise. So I'm not suggesting you go crazy with the jalapenos, but the point is there are a whole bunch of foods that have different effects that you can then capitalize and start using. By the way, it doesn't matter if they're pickled or they're fresh or whatever. Bell peppers, don't do it. The capsaicinoids is the part that burns your tongue that has the effect. Okay, so I teamed up with Dustin, who just does a brilliant job of not only creating the recipes and testing the recipes, but also his fabulous food photography and everything. It's just wonderful to work with. And Lindsay S. Nixon, who's also a brilliant recipe developer, and we decided to do this project of the Power Foods Diet. So a couple of quick tips. When you go to the store, don't just grab the first box of blueberries you see and run out. Look at them, make sure that they are plump and they are deep blue and they're not all shriveled up and so forth. Get them organic. You can get a non-organic banana because you're going to throw away the pesticide-coated peel, but you're not going to be peeling your blueberries, right? So get organic. It's a good idea. Store them in the fridge. Don't store them at room temperature, and do not wash them. Just put them in the fridge. Wash them only at the last minute, because if you wash them too soon, the moisture is going to cause some mold to grow, and by the time you're going to use them, they're not fresh anymore. So just, okay. Frozen are fine, perfectly fine, A-okay. When you buy cinnamon, same story. Don't buy the first jar of cinnamon that you see. It is probably Saigon cinnamon or Indonesian cinnamon, which is cassia, not, the one you want is Ceylon cinnamon, as in Sri Lanka. It's a little milder, it's not so much bang, but that's the one that works. Organic, always good for spices, and store it in an airtight container, keep it in a cool place, and it'll last a really long time, actually. So, the idea of the power foods. Let me just give you a quick overview of what they are, and then really quick about how they work, and then Dustin's going to talk about how to turn them into a meal. There are lots of them. There are these spices, but others as well. When it comes to fruits, virtually all of them work. One exception is the avocado. I'm sorry to tell you, delicious, loaded with calories, and you won't burn them off. The legumes, terrific, including the soy products. They were very high on the Harvard list, work really well. All the whole grains, perfectly fine. Virtually all the green vegetables as well. And the question then is to put them into foods. Sea vegetables, neglected in my childhood home of Fargo, North Dakota, but a great source of iodine that makes thyroid hormone and keeps your metabolism up. So there are 3 ways that these foods work. And the first is, when you eat food, the food goes down your digestive tract. And there are receptors in your digestive tract monitoring not just the fact that you've eaten, but what you have eaten. And they release something called GLP-1, which goes to your brain, and it goes to a little receptor that says, turn off your appetite. I am eating now. I've got plenty of food, so don't keep being hungry. Just turn down the appetite and let me just digest what I've got. So the GLP-1 is sort of an appetite turn-off switch, okay? Now, you can buy Wegovy or Ozempic, and they're made by Novo Nordisk to simulate in a synthetic way the action of your natural GLP-1. That you can inject it, and it will go to supraphysiological levels of a GLP-1 agonist that really will turn down your appetite. Now, there are problems with these. The first is they cost $15,600 a year for one person. The second thing about them is that although they do cause pretty impressive weight loss for most users, they also cause a fair number of side effects: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Not everybody has these, and some people do get over them. But then most people discover their weight comes down, and then they kind of plateau. They're impressively slimmer than they were before, but not where they wanted to be. So you go to the doctor and say, I've done pretty well, but I'm not quite at my goal. What else can I do? Well, you've done it. Wait a minute, can I take a higher dose? No, you're on the highest dose. Well, can I stop this and do something? No, don't stop it. Why? Because if you stop it, the weight comes back. Wait, I'm paying $15,600 a year for the rest of my life to avoid weight regain? That's the business model? That's a great business model. It's a phenomenal amount of money. If you could treat every obese person, the cost would be $1.5 trillion in the United States alone every year. Anyway, am I cheering you up with this? Anyhow, Dr. Hanna Kalayova, who's here tonight, and our Director of Clinical Research, and a tremendous star in the world of nutrition research, I have to say, and a brilliant leader of our team, did an amazing study with her research colleagues, where instead of injecting with Wegovy, she gave people different meals. And what she noticed, that if you go to McDonald's and get a McDonald's meaty type sandwich, it goes down your digestive tract, and your digestive tract does not really recognize it as food. It doesn't really trigger a big GLP-1 release, and your appetite doesn't turn off very effectively. Now, eventually your stomach receptors will kick in, but your appetite isn't really turned down in the normal way. Dr. Kalayova took the same study design and now used a plant-based meal. It's lower in fat. It's much lower in saturated fat. It's higher in fiber, higher in complex carbohydrates. And what do you think you see? You see this huge bang-up rise of GLP-1. Suddenly, you're doing what Novo Nordisk wants to have happen, but you're doing it with what nature had in mind. Your body has a normal appetite control switch that doctors don't talk about because they didn't know about it. But you can turn this on naturally. Okay. This will be on the test, very simple. How many calories are in a gram of fat? 9 calories per gram. Some of you know this, right? Carbohydrate, only 4, and fiber, hardly any. So what if I'm on a diet that has a lot of fat and not much carbohydrate, or the reverse? We brought in 62 people who wanted to lose weight, and we asked half of them to do a Mediterranean diet. And a Mediterranean diet is sort of semi-plant-based. It's more vegetables and fruits, but it does include some chicken, some fish, a fair amount of olive oil, a fair amount of fat overall. But it sounds sexy, and it sounds like it ought to work. I mean, you don't really care what you're going to eat if you're going to drive down the coast of Tuscany at sunset. You know, I mean, patients will, sure, Mediterranean, I'll do it. The other half went vegan, and I have to say our participants on the vegan diet were nervous. They thought they would have to acquire a taste for folk music. We reassured them, you don't have to wear tie-dye clothes or anything. But here's what happened. Then after 16 weeks, they switched diets. So everybody tried both diets. And let me show you the results. The Mediterranean people really soon started saying, well, I like the food, but when does my weight loss start? They didn't really lose much weight. The vegans said, okay, I'm getting used to this. This is kind of cool. And I like the fact that my weight is coming down really fast. After 16 weeks, they stopped. They took 4 weeks off and switched. Now the people who had been Mediterranean and started the vegan diet said, this is what I came for. Now I'm seeing the results that I want. But the people who had been vegan and went Mediterranean were ready to revolt. They said, first of all, I've lost my taste for chicken wings. I don't crave them. I've learned how to cook without oil. I don't really need it. And I'm putting my weight back on following this supposedly healthy diet. What is this about? And we had to. We met with them every week and said, this is science. We're doing this to quantify the effects. And we published this, and it won a nice research award for being a really clean comparison of two different diets. But what we discovered is a Mediterranean diet sounds great, does not lead to weight loss, and does not lower cholesterol to a significant degree. This doesn't mean it's a terrible diet. It's better than what people were eating before. The polyphenols in the oil will reduce your blood pressure. That's all great. But there's a much better way to go, and patients will follow it with a little bit of help and assistance. Okay, so that's appetite taming. The reason why the Mediterranean diet does not lead to weight loss is you're eating calorie-dense foods, animal fats and olive oil, which even though it's called virgin, has 9 calories per gram. Calorie trapping. Here's the craziest thing. Fiber in your digestive tract, that's the green stuff here, it traps calories and it carries them out with your waste. Yes, it does. Researchers at Tufts University said, you can flush your calories away? Here's what they did. They brought in people and asked half of them to eat white bread, white rice, fiber-depleted foods. The other half, whole grain breads, whole grain rice with all the fiber. And what they discovered is that going down their digestive tract, those high-fiber foods were trapping calories and carrying them out with the waste. Yes, they did stool samples on everybody to confirm. And what they found is that this was good for losing about 100 calories per day. You with me? Okay, so fiber is good. It keeps you regular. It lowers cholesterol if it's the right kind of fiber, but it also causes weight loss. Okay, the third thing, metabolism boosting. After you eat a meal, your metabolism rises. Your calorie burning speed rises. You're absorbing nutrients. The glucose in the carbohydrate goes into your muscle cells. Your muscle cells use it as a fuel, and your body your muscles are creating heat. They're using this, and your metabolism is rising. Different foods have different effects. Come into my laboratory. We'll outfit you with a mask. You're going to feel like an astronaut. I'm measuring your oxygen intake and your carbon dioxide output. And with some pretty simple arithmetic, that tells us your calorie burning speed. I now feed you a pat of butter. 2 pats of butter, a whole darn stick of butter, and your burn, like nothing happens. Your metabolism does not rise. Greasy foods just don't do it. But now let's say I give you a different meal. We did this as part of a research study. We brought in individuals who had weight they wanted to lose, 64 overweight women, randomly assigned to either a vegan diet or a conventional diet from the National Cholesterol Education Program. We asked them not to change their exercise and to do this for 14 weeks. And the foods that we suggested were things like blueberry pancakes and linguine with oyster mushrooms and that kind of thing. But somebody in about week 3 of the study told me that Twizzlers were vegan, which I wasn't anticipating. And the thing is, when you do research studies, you have to be honest. We only had 2 rules. No animal products, keep oils really low. And Twizzlers don't have animal products in them, and they don't have much oil. It's just sugary, starchy, artificially colored junk. And so they made sure that all the research participants knew that Twizzlers were unlimited in Dr. Barnard's vegan study. So nonetheless, what we discovered is as time went on, despite their Twizzler intake, they lost substantially more weight than the best current diet. So there was something about getting the animal products and the oil off your plate that people did great. More importantly, after 14 weeks, we followed them for 2 extra years. And on the control diet, the weight came back, which is what happens. On the vegan diet, it never came back. They were skinnier at 2 years than they were at the very beginning, because you're making a qualitative shift using these powerful foods and keeping the weight off. But then we brought them in and tested everybody's after-meal burn. It rose because of the meals they were eating, but because they had been following a plant-based diet consistently over 14 weeks, the fat was getting out of their muscle cells, the fat was clearing out of their liver cells. Whatever insulin resistance they had was clearing up. Their cells were now supercharged, and their metabolism was higher than it was, even for the exact same test meal. So here are women after the age of menopause thinking, I've done everything, I can't lose weight, losing weight without exercise, without trying to cut calories, and discovering that they were getting healthier and healthier and healthier, and age is no barrier to this. So Dr. Kaliova and the team repeated this with a much larger group of people. The AMA published it. And by the way, also did a study on how much it costs to eat these foods. You save 16% on your food costs, about $500 a year. Because how much does it cost to eat beans? Really cheap. Let me say a word of praise for sea vegetables again. They have iodine in them. That's the purple things on this molecule. This is thyroid hormone. If you don't have that, because you're not getting iodine in your diet, you can end up hypothyroid, and you're sluggish and your metabolism needs help. So get to know our sea vegetables. Okay, so if you think, all right, I could see this could help, but I'm not sure I'm quite ready to do it, take 4 weeks. Week 1, all you do is check out the possibilities. Just think about what you would eat. Try some things at the store, or go to Green Fair, a terrific restaurant in Northern Virginia, where you can test these things and see what you like. Then when you're ready, after a week you'll know. Then take 3 weeks and do it all plant-based all the time. Keep oils really low, and what you discover is 2 things. First of all, you are physically changing. You're losing weight. If you have diabetes, your blood sugar is coming down, and it comes down, for some people, very quickly. So let your doctor know that you're doing this. But the other thing is that your tastes change. And you realize, I like this way. And I'm learning about new things and new tastes and new products and new websites and new books, and I don't want to go back to what I was doing before. And that's really what success is all about. So the idea of power foods, there's a whole lot more to this, but that's the science. And now let me turn it over to Dustin to talk about where the rubber really meets the road, and that's with food. Thank you very much.
All right. I haven't seen it. There we go. I should have walked very slowly out here. It's so great to see all of you tonight. I'm very happy to be here to celebrate the Power Foods diet. I had the privilege and the honor to work on the recipes, right? And I didn't do it alone. As Dr. Barnard mentioned, I worked with Lindsay S. Nixon from The Happy Herbivore, so we worked on it together. She did half, I did half, we collaborated a little, we fought over some recipes, who gets to do this, who gets to do that, because we love food so much. And when Dr. Barnard came to me about the Power Foods diet, this project he was working on, I thought for sure he was going to send me a list full of restrictions. So before I said yes, I said, well, kind of send me some items of what you're talking about here. He said, well, I want to talk about what you can eat. And I thought, well, that's refreshing. That's not usually what I hear in this situation. I thought, okay, I'm intrigued a little. Maybe he sent me this list. And that's just scratching the surface, right? Because everything doesn't fit on one slide, and I wanted you to be able to read it tonight. So that's the font I had to choose. But we got foods we're all familiar with on there. We've got strawberries and blackberries, blueberries, pinto beans, black beans, chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, broccoli, cauliflower, and pasta. So when I saw pasta, I said, okay, sign me up. I'm in. And I started working on the Power Foods diet recipes. And we've split them up in this book. So you've got all the categories you're used to in a cookbook. You've got breakfast. You've got some mains and entrees, some soups, salads, bowls, some handhelds with some burgers and wraps, all those great things. Some desserts, of course. And even some condiments with some dressings and some sauces. But we go one step further for you with this. So we've got 3 labels that we use throughout the book on all the recipes. So it's either going to be labeled, each recipe is labeled separately with one. It's either going to be labeled with convenient, and that means something you can just sort of buy at the store, toss it together, you've got a recipe done. Or easy. Now you're going to have to chop a little, maybe saute a little, right? Or we've got elegant recipes. Now that doesn't mean hard. I can say with some pure conviction here that most of the recipes in this book are pretty straightforward and easy, to the table in 30 minutes or less. Elegant means you can serve it at a dinner party or at a brunch with friends, so you can power up with your friends and family and keep things healthful and nutrient forward. And how do we power up? So when we're looking at these recipes, what's a convenient recipe look like? What do convenient power up, power foods recipes look like? So we're looking at oats. I love overnight oats, so I gave you a variety in there. We've got mango overnight oats, we've got triple berry overnight oats, we've got apple cinnamon overnight oats. Lindsay gives you a variety of hot oatmeals, including a tea-infused hot oatmeal. She got innovative, thinking outside of the box there for you. And Good Morning Green Smoothie Bowl. I love start my morning off with a green smoothie, but I tend to slurp it down very fast and I don't give the nutrients time to do the business. You know what I mean? So with this bowl, I'm able to sit down, plop some of those power berries on top of it, and I can eat intentionally. I take a bite, I digest it, I think about my day, what I'm gonna do, as opposed to just mindlessly slurping down a green smoothie. So it's a great way for me to slow down a little bit. And some great other ones on here. What do we got? A mango ghost smoothie, convenient black bean burritos, creamy broccoli salad. Lindsay gave you a flavor-packed firecracker bowl, classic oil-free hummus, a strawberry banana nice cream. We could do a whole chapter on nice creams. They're delicious. We chose strawberry banana here because we love the luscious creaminess of the banana, the natural sweetness of the strawberry. And then we've got a triple berry no-churn sorbet. You're really just putting ingredients into a blender, putting it into a loaf pan after that, freezing it the next day, you've got a delicious sorbet on your hands. Now I want to talk to you about these oil-free, crispy potato wedges. I had a client, a private chef client about 3-4 years ago, and I went on vacation with them. They were on vacation, I was working. And they were like, hey, we want resort foods, but we want them all plant-based and we want them oil-free. And I was like, I got you, fingers crossed, here we go. So they kept saying, we want fries, we want fries. So I came up with this recipe for oil-free, crispy potato wedges. And Dr. Barnard says in the book, you can have potatoes, you just can't have them fried, right? So I thought, what a great home for this recipe. On day 3 of that trip, my client came up to me, he said, listen, we love the potatoes, but you've got to stop frying them. You've got to stop putting them in oil. We asked you for oil-free. I said, good sir, these are oil-free. And that's why I love these potatoes. They're in the convenient chapter. You're just tossing them with some spices, a little tamari, baking them at a high heat. You've got a crispy, crunchy outside and a pillowy puff of potato in the middle. So good. Now, what if you want to elevate it? Chuck was talking about the chili cheese potato burrito, I think, right, at Taco Bell. You can make the carrot cauliflower cheese sauce with these. And then you can maybe pair that with Lindsay's orzo chili in the book as well. So you can get all those flavors you want in a powered up sort of way. And now Dr. Barnard calls me one day. He says, hey, can we do a healthy banana split? I said, no. And then I hung up the phone and I thought about it and I thought, okay, challenge accepted. Wheels were turning. And then I was like, well, this is pretty easy actually. We just got to do the banana, get some of those power berries in there so we have lots of different flavors and textures. Put a little bit of almond vanilla yogurt in there, and that's your convenient version. Maybe take some of those pomegranate seeds you see in the store these days. Adds a great pop of tart and some texture to it. Now, if you want to step it up, we have a date caramel in the book as well that you can slather all over the top that I absolutely love. Put all of those together. I prefer this over a banana split any day, and I'm not just saying that. I really do love it. Also, these Beat the Summer blueberry pops are probably one of my favorite recipes in the entire book. I've tested them, and then I've tested them again, and I keep testing them because I just love having them in my freezer. They're good now. I don't need to test them anymore. I just want to have them because they're that good. And I know something's great when I keep going to it again and again because I don't have room in my freezer for all that stuff I'm testing all the time. But you really just put blueberries, bananas, pear in a blender, whiz it up, put it in a popsicle mold, and then the next day you have popsicles. Or if you want to put them in an ice cube tray, if you don't have popsicle molds, you can pop those into a seltzer. You got yourself a nice little refreshing summer drink, right? And now we're looking at easy recipes, how to power up in an easy fashion. Now this label is vast in the book because there's so many easy recipes, right? And we're looking at a strawberry banana breakfast bake. I love the strawberry banana combination. This one's perfect for meal prep. Hearty oats together with the banana and the strawberry. You bake that off. You've got several servings you can have during the week. These wild blueberry muffins that Lindsay gave you with whole wheat flour and these beautiful blueberries that are just bursting with juicy berry goodness with every bite. And then toast. What are we gonna do with some toast? Dr. Barnard says we can have the toast, so I put some smashed sweet potato on it with a little bit of everything seasoning and sriracha, a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweet, and then a British style baked beans and toast. I slip some greens into it because I'm wild and crazy like that. I love vegetables. I love trying to get them into everything, so this is one of my ways of doing that. Blender oat waffles. Really just put everything in a blender, and then you put it in your waffle maker. You got a waffle, and you can pour the cinnamon blueberry syrup on it. You had these creamy spinach and artichoke wraps when you walked in. I love these wraps so much. The base is a white bean, so you're getting a creamy, almost like hummus white bean base there with the artichokes mixed in it on a bed of leafy spinach. Top that with some robust sun-dried tomatoes, a drizzle of tangy balsamic. It's the best lunch ever. I love it. And then we got this Mediterranean chickpea salad sandwich. So we've been doing chickpea tuna sandwich, right? What else could we do with it is what we were thinking. So we put in some red onion, red pepper, some capers there to give you all those flavors. Topped it with some thin slices of cucumber there so you get the cool flavors of that, all those textures. And then a roasted buffalo cauliflower and hummus wrap with all the veggies in there too, of course. And look at these great things. The chilled pasta primavera salad, rainbow fajita bowls. If you like fajitas, this is all that in a bowl. Rainbow pad thai crunch bowls, green bean salad. Lindsay has you covered with the cornbread and the potato salad. And then we got a red pepper and artichoke paella. And I love a sheet pan meal. If you don't know what a sheet pan meal is, it literally means you're putting all of your ingredients on a sheet pan. You're gonna bake it, and then you got 4 to 6 servings when it comes out. This is my sheet pan tofu teriyaki. I absolutely love it. And then we got a whole chapter on soups in there. This is a very fast veggie lentil soup. I'm a soup all year long kind of guy. I don't know about y'all. Not just winter for me, but I love it all the time. This is filled with vegetables, packed with lentils. It's hearty, it's satiating. Again, great for meal prep. And then we got this shroomy stroganoff here from Lindsay. Now, mac and cheese. Lindsay and I fought over who was going to do the mac and cheese. I want it. She got it. And I said, send me that recipe. I need to photograph it. And I was skeptical. I was like, all right, we'll see. I consider myself a macaroni and cheese connoisseur. And it was excellent. It's a silken tofu base, creamy and delicious, seasoned to perfection, tossed with some pasta, baked with a little crunchy top on there. It's perfect to serve the family on a weeknight. Comes together so quickly. A+, Lindsay. I knew it was going to be great. I knew it. She won the battle. And then my raspberry oatmeal banana cookies. Basically, I did that so you could have a cookie for breakfast if you want. And we got baked falafel here with tabbouleh and a white bean tzatziki sauce, okay? So then we're moving into the elegant category. Reminder, this is not hard. This just means you can serve it up at a gathering or a holiday or for friends and family. So start things off with a sheet pan frittata. Again, a sheet pan meal. Toss everything into a bowl, put it on the sheet pan, go entertain your guests for 20 minutes, come back to the oven. You've got servings for 6 people there, and they're gonna think that you worked all day on it. And then the French toast. Dr. Barnard talks about this wonderful French toast. Lindsay gives us a great recipe in here. And then we're topping it off with the cinnamon blueberry syrup. I really wish I would have named it the power syrup ultimately because that's what it is. And then we got these green smoothie and strawberry pancakes here. I told you I slip vegetables into everything. So in the liquid base of your pancake here, you're gonna put the spinach. It's a little bit neutral, and then you mix it with your dry ingredients. You got green pancakes, you're good to go, slathered with that power syrup, as I'm renaming it now. These tacos are my favorite thing. You're gonna get them tonight. I collaborated with Lindsay on this. I did the pinto and Brussels part of it, the pinto Brussels bean tacos. She gave you the mango salsa, so you have all these vibrant, beautiful textures here coming together for just an awesome flavor, an awesome taco. And then, like we said, it doesn't have to be hard. This is a 1-pot red lentil dal you can use here, and a chickpea pot pie stew with herbed polenta dumplings. Imagine that on a winter night. And then I got back to the Mediterranean flavors. I wanted to do more with the sweet potato, so we did a Mediterranean twice-baked sweet potato drizzled with that white bean tzatziki sauce. And I thought the bok choy, we got to do something with the almighty bok choy. So I paired the bok choy with some soba noodles. So we did a chilled bok choy soba noodle bowl, mixed it with some vegetables, some tofu, a little edamame in there. So you have all the good stuff in this bowl. I love this for meal prep. You don't have to worry about it being cold or hot. You can just have it in the fridge in portions. Take it out when you need it. And then the easy breezy veggie curry. I made the vegetable the star here. So usually the base of a curry is cream or milk. This we cook the carrots, we puree it into the creamy sauce, mix it with the spices, and then add all of those beautiful power food ingredients to that powerful sauce base, and you're left with a hearty dish that you can have on a weeknight when you come home from work. And then this stacked polenta with mushroom ragu, a little bit of creamy tofu sauce on top, stacked high. A plate always looks beautiful like that. Stack it high, leave a little space on the side so it's sexy. Serve this for a dinner party, people will love it. And look at all these good ones here you can serve to people. Garlicky cauliflower risotto, scalloped potatoes are in there with that cauliflower carrot cheese sauce, samosa lettuce cups, one pot cauliflower piccata pasta. If you love piccata, all the lemony goodness comes through in this one pot pasta, so quick and easy to make. Lasagna rolls, potato lentil enchiladas. Lindsay has you covered again with the cheesy grits and portobello bacon. Every time I say that one in interviews so far, everyone's like, ooh, I want that. But she took it a step further. She gave you another variation. She gave you the Cajun grits as well. And we got a Moroccan shepherd's pie. And then we're going to close it out with dessert, of course. So we got a nice carrot cake there, fluffy and delicious. And then a quick and easy cinnamon rice pudding. And then a blueberry and pear crumble with a crumble top that absolutely melts in your mouth, but it's void of any butter or anything like that. It's just delicious, powerful ingredients. And those are some recipes in the Power Foods diet. Go home, power up, keep on cooking, and let the Power Food Revolution begin. Thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Stefanie. I'll be your host for the evening. Let's get Stefanie here and do it. Let me just step back here. Pot Stefanie back up. Can we get, yeah, let's just stay on. There we go. Yeah. There we go. My goodness gracious, man. And here I thought vegans only ate salads. Anybody else here hungry after watching Dustin? My goodness gracious. Woo-hoo. So Stefanie Ignoffo has such an incredible story. She is somebody who came on the show very shortly after becoming a Food for Life instructor, and I absolutely fell in love with her story. And so I thought it would be so cool from one weight loss success to interview another so we can really show you guys just how powerful food can be. So one more time, for real this time, Stefanie Ignoffo.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you.
Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
Didn't make you wear the skates the entire time?
No.
No.
Thank goodness.
All right.
I
Thanks
made
for
it out
being
here once.
I know. And yeah, we were just, oh boy, my wife would be really upset with me. We were just talking backstage about, seriously, like we love food now more than ever. Wouldn't you agree?
True story, for sure.
So let me ask you this. How has your view of eating a plant-based diet changed from when somebody first dropped the V word on you?
Should I tell him the truth?
I think you should.
I thought it was a bad idea. I thought it was dumb, and I told my daughter, this was ridiculous. Where are you going to get your protein? How are you going to survive? But I thought this fad would soon end, and she would quit eating her vegan foods and her plant milks. But I did a little research, ate some vegan food, and I thought, I think we should all do this.
Yeah, yeah. And where were you in your life when you were so skeptical? Take us back to what I'd say the age of 40 was like for you, because it was much different. You certainly wouldn't have been roller skating across the floor.
I couldn't walk across the floor. I couldn't walk up my stairs more than once a day. I had Diverticulitis, IBS. I was facing double knee replacements. I had heart disease, pancreatitis, autoimmune, acid reflux, GERD problems, gastrointestinal problems, and I was 100 pounds more than I am today. But that wasn't my heaviest. I did hit 280 at my heaviest, yeah.
Anything else? I mean, that was a pretty long list. Are we leaving anything off?
Well, I missed out on a lot of life. I stayed home and didn't do much. But this changed everything. And I was also eating the same 3.
What
Yeah.
What was, I mean, like you really are, you're just trapped in that unhealthy body. That could not have been the 40 that you were envisioning growing up. I would imagine that was a very rough, dark period for you.
It was really hard.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I don't want anyone to go through that.
What was it like just waking up in the morning and having that reality set in again every day?
I couldn't wait to have a drink. I couldn't wait to eat. I couldn't wait to let this stuff not bother me, you know, try to get through the day. I hurt. My whole body hurt. I could barely walk around. I would just get up, and it wasn't fun, but this is awesome. This is all I can think about now. I almost have forgotten how tough that was. It was really bad. I missed out on prom dress shopping. I missed out on a lot of concerts, a lot of events. I missed out on weddings. I missed out on so much of my life. I thought this is what 40 was. You know, as we get older, we get bigger, we get sicker. We were eating the standard American diet, living the standard American life, and I suffered from the standard American diseases.
Using a walker, having a handicap placard on the car.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what the standard American diet was like in the Ignoffo house. What was the typical daily menu?
It was awesome. We rarely ate out. We rarely ate junk food. My whole life was dieting, so we ate lean chicken, skim milk, low-fat cottage cheese. I didn't buy sugary cereals for my kids. We didn't eat a lot of pop. We really ate what I thought was the healthiest diet we could be on.
And isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And yet you still felt really sick, and you were really sick. What do you think it is about us as human beings that makes us so skeptical to change the way that we eat when it is so obvious that the way that we're living, including what we're eating, just is not working? And yet this idea of switching your diet, initially, you were like, that's the least healthy thing I could think of.
Honestly, I really thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you could get protein, and it's crazy. It is not what I thought at all. What was the question again? Because it was...
What do you think it is that makes us so
yeah.
resistant to change in terms of the way that we eat? Like, for me, it was like convincing myself that another pizza, another trip to Taco Bell wasn't going to do me any harm.
It was everybody else doing it that convinced me to keep on doing it. Mm-hmm.
Consequences be done. Like, at no point you equated what you were eating with the condition that you were in.
No, and I asked all the time at the doctor, like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so miserable? You know, and they would say, lose weight. Yeah, great. I've only been trying for my whole life. But I would convince myself, well, everybody else is doing this. Everybody else is eating this way. So it must be the only thing that I can do.
Well, let's get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get to the good stuff. Let's flip the script.
Sure.
Here. So you do a little research because you love your daughter, and you dive in. You watch the documentaries, you read some books, you're like, hey, there might be something to this. How quickly did you notice a change?
Well, first, when I watched the documentary, I actually thought, this is absurd. I'm not giving up my cheese, and I'm not giving up my wine. So I actually shut the Forks Over Knife video off in about 5 minutes, let her go about her way. Fast forward 6 months later, my husband was coming home from what would be our 9th surgery in 11 months. So I thought, well, we're out of luck here. I can't work. He's out of work. Maybe on our way home, we'll pick up McDonald's, a little treats for the surgery, and we'll watch Forks Over Knives again as a family. And that was it.
Wow. 9 surgeries in 11 months. How much of that, I'm not giving up my cheese, I'm not giving up my wine, how much of that goes back to what it was I was talking about earlier in terms of addiction? Because when people would tell me, Chuck, you got to, like I had friends try to organize an intervention for me. They had grown so concerned about my weight. But I cut them out of my life instead of Taco Bell because I was not ready to change.
That's very true. I mean, I'll hide stuff before. I'll hide it. It comes with it. It comes with the territory. I mean, when you're that overweight and you're that sick, people look at you like, what are you doing?
I'm telling you.
It just gets in you.
So you have the Last Supper of McDonald's?
We had the Last Supper. It truly was the last time we were ever at McDonald's. January 7th, 2013.
Oh, you remember the day?
Yeah, the day.
Mine was August 30th, 2009.
Nice.
18 inches of cheesesteak and a big bucket of fries. I mean,
Wow.
ginormous bucket of fries. It was a tub.
Did you know it was your last?
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But man,
didn't.
I enjoyed every inch of that
Yeah.
thing. Good.
Yeah, it was good.
Not
But I
anymore.
didn't know, yeah, I didn't know what was waiting for me.
No. So the results were pretty rapid. Like,
Fast.
how fast?
10 months, I lost 100 pounds, and 10 months, my family lost 250 pounds.
That's the part we hadn't gotten to yet. The whole family goes on, and it's just like the incredible shrinking people.
I did the grocery shopping.
That's
That's all it took.
So, but I love, like Dustin was talking about this, and he and I, we want to team up and replicate my old Taco Bell menu with just healthier versions, right? And so he's already got kind of the blueprints to do this. But you were on top of that from day one. You never bought into that idea that being vegan meant eating salads and doing shots of wheatgrass, and that was all it was going to be. You took your recipes and you made them vegan and healthy.
We did. It started off simple, you know, pasta. I saw we could eat pasta. We could eat brown rice. We could eat fruits. We could eat vegetables. We had no problem with that stuff. We just needed to have more of it. So we figured it out. Simple, easy. Not Dustin's awesome recipes. They weren't around, but
That's a whole other level.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you
a
can't
whole
even compare. Like, that's not even fair. Like, he's all the way over there. We're all back here.
yeah, it was simple in the beginning.
Do you remember what your first vegan dinner was? You remember the Last Supper, so do you remember the first supper?
I don't. I just remember that potato soup, that creamy potato soup. We must have had like every other day. It was what got us through, a creamy potato soup.
Well, let me ask you this then, the feeling. Dr. Will Bolsowitz was on the exam room recently, and he was describing the first time that he turned to a green smoothie. And he was also a fast food junkie as an early practicing physician and all throughout med school before that. And he said the first time he had a green smoothie, it was like his body screamed out to him, this is what I have been missing. And I wonder if you had a similar experience.
I was actually sick the first day.
Were you?
I was. I didn't feel good. You know, no dairy, a little detox. I didn't know what was going on. But I thought, I got to give this one more day. I got to show my kids we could do this.
Yeah. The resolve was there. That's interesting. I think a lot of people would have like used that as an excuse just to wave the white flag straight away.
I was sick of excuses. I've made so many. I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going all the way.
We're talking about the Power Foods diet, but I'm telling you, you are powerful.
Oh, thank you.
That resolve is, yeah, round of applause.
Thank you.
Your willpower is extraordinary. I hope that you recognize that.
Well, I was sick of being sick, Chuck.
I got you.
That's all it took.
So you get over the first day,
Yeah.
and you start to feel a lot better. How quickly was it before you realized, I don't need the walker in the house anymore?
Days.
Days.
I was like this inflammation, like I'm moving around, the weight was coming off. I mean, I was not moving around, sedentary, limiting my calories, starving myself, cutting carbs. So all of a sudden everything was going in me and it was like revved up, ready to go, dust off the treadmill. Go. Well, the bike. I wasn't on the treadmill.
Yeah, your bike. Has anybody seen her biking videos on Instagram too? Like this woman, her instant plantspiration. Like break out your phones right now and just pull up IG, and do that. Like she is such a fun follow. I love it.
Thank you.
What was the first physical activity that you returned to? Was it the bike?
We first actually got a ping pong table in the house. We moved our kitchen table
Yeah,
out and we put a
yeah.
ping pong table in. I was like, I can't sit here. We're going to have to do some more stuff. And then we bought the whole family bikes. And we took them out and they were like, we cannot keep up with mom and dad. And that
Shut
was
the
it.
front door.
Swear.
The kids,
They said we can't keep up with these guys.
wow.
She said it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the kids are here too.
Yeah.
You're going to meet them in a second.
I'm
That's important. I want to talk to you also about the medication you were on, because I would imagine all of those surgeries, all that sickness, like you probably were keeping CVS stock like way through the roof.
Well, actually, I have a stack of prescriptions. I was always trying to avoid them. I was trying to take them minimally. So, of course, blood pressure medications, cholesterol, acid reflux stuff, lots of anti-inflammatory stuff, lots of injection stuff like that. But I haven't had any of that in 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah. Thank you.
You must feel so free today.
You can't stop me now.
Now, girl, you're taking over the world. Are you kidding me? Like, never doubt this one. She's going to take over the world. And you've taken your story, you've parlayed it, you've become a Food for Life instructor, and you're teaching how many hundreds and hundreds of people now have taken the Plantspiration courses?
I've lost track.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping track of keeping going, that we're going to keep teaching people how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You having fun here tonight?
So much fun.
I know. She was nervous, y'all. I'm not even going to lie.
I was like, I might fall on my skates, you know.
But you know what?
But I'll get back up.
Clap if you agree. Stefanie deserves to be here tonight. Stefanie has put in this work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
You have truly learned the power of food. You know how powerful it can be on one end of the spectrum, and now you know the healthier end of the spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that you're taking your story and sharing it to everyone who's here tonight,
Yeah.
and will watch the podcast and listen to the podcast and inspire others, and through your courses, you're changing people's lives. And there's a tremendous amount of power in that. And so it is a great debt of gratitude that we all have for you here today.
Well, thank you so much. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you guys. You keep me going.
It's our pleasure.
Well, thank you so much.
Two more questions before we bring Dr. Barnard and Dustin back up on stage. We'll do a little Q&A before we take it home. Number one, what does the future look like to you today compared to what it did when you were 40?
Anything is in my reach today when it wasn't at 40. I can do anything I want now, but I couldn't do that before.
Isn't that the coolest?
Yeah.
I love that. I love it when you have the epiphany, and I always use the analogy. It's like being back in third grade and somebody asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Doctor, astronaut, football player, basketball player. You can literally do all of those things.
Literally.
Or whatever you want to do.
Things I never thought I could do, ever. Start a business, roller skate, ride a bike. None of these things were in my reach before. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't feel good enough to believe in myself, but all that changed.
And, I'm just going to plant the seed. You started by skating across the room. I think if you wanted to do a little fundraiser and skate across America.
I would do it. I could do it. I could do it now.
I'm just saying.
Could. Yeah.
I know you're eating a plant-based diet, but I still got to say, tape up the ankles before you get going.
No problem.
But if it's possible, if we could pull up the slide, I think the very last slide that you brought today is of your family. And what I would love to do is just, what a beautiful family this is. Do we have the Ignoffos coming soon? Like, you guys need like a Hulu reality show or something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Coming soon.
Do we have the before? Maybe? Is that the next? Yeah, look at that. Look at the change
Can I tell
in the
this story
Ignoffo family.
really quick, Chuck?
Yeah, please.
So this was a Weight Watchers 30-day challenge photo, and I thought, wow, don't we look great? We're so healthy. We did this Weight Watcher challenge. I said, let's take a family photo of this. I had nearly failed a stress test. John was about to go into surgery. My son had it. The girls, hereditary, they were running up for hereditarily being big-boned, bigger, all that stuff. But all that changed.
You know what would be fun? is if we could recreate that photo, because I know your family's here sitting in the front
There.
row. Hi, guys. You want to come up here? Let's recreate the photo, make a little magic. Show you guys in the flesh the power of food.
And I want to say thank you to my family. Yeah. Here we go. All right, I think you were in the front, but should we flex, you guys?
As close as you can replicate, I think flex on.
Oh, I
Let's
wasn't
see those
flexing.
guns.
Okay, Isabel, you were flexing. Go. You guys, there we go.
Thank you guys so much. You guys are all
Literally.
tremendous.
Thank you,
Round of
guys.
applause for the Ignoffo family.
Thank you.
All right. Stephanie, your story is absolutely
Thank you,
incredible,
Chuck.
and I'm so thrilled that you were featured in this book, and let's get you back on the podcast real soon, okay?
Absolutely, I'm honored, and thank you so much. All of this is wonderful. I want more people to do it. It
Absolutely.
feels this good.
Anybody else here feeling inspired? All right.
Do it.
So we only have a couple of minutes left, so let's go ahead and bring Chef Dustin Harder and Dr. Neal Barnard back up on stage. Gentlemen, if you will join us. We're going to wrap up with what I ordinarily would call the doctor's mailbag, but in this case, we're just going to call it the mailbag because we got all kinds of esteemed panel here with us today. So we've got some questions that you guys have submitted earlier, and let's see. Here we go. Dr. Barnard, let's start with the question for you. We're talking about weight loss. And this person writes in, if we are looking to lose weight, should we take soy out of the diet?
Okay, I've got an opinion on that, but before I do, let me turn it over, if you don't mind, to Stefanie and to Dustin to see how that's worked for them.
Well, I'll just get this out here right now. Going through menopause, I'm grateful for the soy. Soy is wonderful. It's a cancer fighter, and it can be used in many ways.
And we do use it in many ways in the
Yes.
book. Yes, it is there.
Okay, exactly. I certainly agree. It was one of in the Harvard study that I mentioned earlier, it was one of the ones associated with weight loss. But the big bugaboo for people is they will say, I heard somewhere that soy causes cancer, so I shouldn't have it. And it's one of these myths that just won't die for some reason. And if you don't mind, I'll just 1 minute about this. Soy does contain isoflavones like genistein and daidzein and glycine. And they do attach to estrogen receptors, which freaked everyone out because they thought that means if something attaches to an estrogen receptor, it's going to cause cancer. Estradiol, female sex hormone, it attaches to the estrogen receptor, causes cancer. However, the studies didn't work out that way. It turned out that women consuming more soy, particularly in Asian countries where women consume phenomenal amounts of soy, the more soy they ate, the lower their cancer risk. They had less breast cancer, about 30% less. And women previously diagnosed with cancer who eat the most soy have less risk of mortality. So the results are really, am I going in and out?
You're
The dairy industry
coming and
does
going.
this every time I answer this. Anyway, all right. But can you hear me okay? You can. All right. So anyhow,
We're going to change you up there.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you. Okay, it turns out there are two classes of estrogen receptors, estrogen receptor alpha and beta. Alpha is where estradiol attaches. That's going to increase cancer risk. Estrogen receptor beta is a completely different one, and that's where the isoflavones preferentially attach. So think of estrogen receptor alpha as the gas pedal on cancer. Beta, think of it as sort of the brake on cancer. The last thing I'm going to say is that if a person does not take the soy milk and they choose dairy milk instead, dairy milk has actual estradiol in it that came from the cow. Cows are artificially inseminated annually. They are milked well into the pregnancy, and they are secreting this female sex hormone, which is why some of the latest and best research is showing links between dairy milk and not just prostate cancer, but also breast cancer. So,
I think that about answers it.
thank you.
Yeah, well done. Question for the chef. Hello. Is there a power food that you cannot figure out what to do with? This comes to us from Violet.
Thanks, Violet. Not that we couldn't figure out what to do with, but there were a couple things like habanero peppers, how to creatively use them in ways that haven't been used. And seaweed, sea vegetables. You know, we've got a couple great sea vegetable salads in the book and a hand roll, but we had trouble sort of thinking of like innovative ways because we got our little foodie brains on. So.
Let me ask you this. How much pressure did the guy on the end put on you to put something spicy in the book? Because I know he loves his jalapenos.
Yes, it was there. It was on the list.
Uh-huh.
It was on the list.
Has to be. Let's see here. Stefanie, a question from Troy. I think that we kind of touched on this, but I would love for you to speak directly to him. How long do I have to follow a vegan diet before I have some weight loss?
Start now and find out.
Start now and find out. I like her answer. Dr. Barnard, do you want to weigh in on that one? How quickly, I mean, were Stefanie's results typical, as they would say on a commercial?
Everybody gets a different result, but the weight loss usually begins right away. And what I mean by that is when we do this in research studies and we're tracking people's weight week by week by week, you see the weight loss start right away. You're not looking for it to necessarily be really rapid. What you're looking for is the direction. So if a person loses a little bit or a lot, I'm mostly concerned that I want it to come down and not go back up and not get stuck. And you see that the first week.
Definitely.
All right. Oh, longevity is all in the news recently. What foods are best for longevity? How many of the power foods really speak to a longer life as well, Dr. Barnard?
Well, just real quick, obviously, the antioxidants are kind of the ones that people talk about the most, and those are in plants. So the beta-carotene in carrots and sweet potatoes, and the anthocyanins that we've been talking about, and the lycopene that's in tomatoes and watermelons. These are compounds that got famous because they knock out free radicals. Free radicals are compounds that sort of like factory exhaust from your cells that are gradually tearing your body apart. And to the extent they can be neutralized, the disease processes tend to slow down. That's just a simple and partial answer, but eating those colorful foods is a really, really good thing to do. And when people get away from animal products, it leaves them room for all the things that your body wishes you were eating.
Which brings us to our next question. Thank you for the setup. Oh, this is a tough one. Family member has stage 3 kidney disease, and his doctor tells him that fish and steak are okay. What advice do you have for me to get him to stop eating so much meat? So what can a person do when there's such conflicting information out there?
I'm sorry. He's got severe kidney disease, and the doctor told him to eat
fish and steak.
Okay. Needs a second opinion. And I mean, what can you say? The kidneys have the job of filtering out bad stuff in the circulation, and animal protein will. The more you increase animal protein, the more stress that you're putting on the kidneys. And we have long thought that a plant-based diet is what a person with compromised kidney function needs to be doing. A plant-based diet is ideal for that person. Now, there's a lot of other issues. The person may have diabetes, they may have hypertension that are causing their nephrons to be really stressed. The best dietary approach to both of those is also a plant-based diet. Don't cancel your doctor's appointment and just go shopping for groceries. You're a sick person. You need medical care as well. You may need medication for now, but the diet should be a plant-based diet.
And Dustin, if somebody, just doesn't want to take that out of their diet because they really like the flavor of fish and steak, how easy is it to replicate that kind of flavor? Is there a flavor that you haven't been able to dial in on a plant-based way?
I mean, I think as you, in terms of replicating them, there's products out there these days for that. And I'm not necessarily recommending that, but sometimes those serve as a great transition tool for people, especially in this situation. If we're trying to get them to eat more fruits and vegetables and just get comfortable with changing and shifting their diet a little bit. So there's those items. But a mushroom's a mushroom at the end of the day. People say, oh, have a mushroom steak. It's just like a steak. It's a mushroom. It's delicious, but it's a mushroom, Grow to love mushrooms is what I say. Start to explore and other foods and see what they can do and what they can do for you.
You're an honest man. I like you.
Mushroom's a mushroom.
Stefanie, were there times, I know you were doing the shopping, so you had total control in the kitchen, but were there times when your husband, your kids came up to you, they're like, I just want a freaking hamburger. Like, Mama, please. What advice would you offer somebody in that situation?
Actually, they didn't ask for stuff like that. I really made sure, I informed them, even if it wasn't just for the diet, it was ethically, it was environmentally, I brought up stuff like that. And I didn't stop them from what they were doing outside of the house. So I didn't put any pressure on them. I just took care of what was in the house. And if they ate something that was an animal the first couple months, they came right back to me and said, it didn't feel so good. Enough said.
They came to you for confession like it was a Sunday afternoon?
They did, yeah.
Wow. That's a whole other book, Growing Up Ignoffo. Let's talk. I got an idea.
Once you feel good, you don't want to go back.
I got you. Who would?
And there's four more of us that, prove that.
Final question, Dr. Barnard, going to come back to you. Let's talk about these from a health perspective. Somebody else wrote in wondering about those meat alternatives that Dustin was just referencing. From a health standpoint, can you talk to us about where these fall in the grand spectrum of things? Are they, I can't imagine they're as bad as the actual steak, nor as good as the humble mushroom.
Okay, the meat alternatives are always better than the product they are replacing. So yes, there are processed things. You can look at a veggie burger or a veggie bacon or sausage. Yes, they're highly processed. They might add sodium to it. They are always healthier than the product that they are replacing. By that I mean the cholesterol is gone, the animal fat is gone. That's a good thing. Plant proteins. At Harvard they did an amazing study. I think it was 2016. They looked at replacing animal proteins with plant proteins. And what they were getting at is, if animal protein is complete protein and it's the superior protein, what's the health benefit of that? So in a big statistical analysis, they looked at mortality on people getting their protein from animal sources versus plants. And in every single case, replacing, say, beef protein with plant protein, mortality went down. Replacing dairy protein with non-dairy plant protein, mortality went down. That was true for fish, it was true for eggs, true for everything. So you don't need the animal protein at all, and to the extent you replace it, better off. That said, business people are creative. And when Impossible Burgers came out, these were not designed for people who wanted to be healthy vegans. It was designed to seduce meat eaters. And they marketed it intentionally to say, this is going to taste like that greasy meat burger that you've always wanted to eat. So they combined plant proteins with a big glob of coconut oil, and that's it. So it is better than the product it replaces, but only marginally so. And same's true with Beyond products. Same deal. They're not trying to convince vegans this is the best one. Now, if you look beyond those, and you'll read the labels, you will see products that are simpler with fewer ingredients that don't have a lot of grease in them and are always better than what they replace. And where I think this really shines is if you've got a nervous 12-year-old kid who's going to school with a sandwich and it's got vegan bologna in it that makes him look like everybody else, fair enough. I think that's okay.
Okay. So. And the coconut oil, just to follow up on that, is that as detrimental to a person's health as, say, the saturated fat in it? Is that as detrimental as, say, if somebody were to take a big old scoop of Crisco and put that in the pan?
Vaseline, yeah.
Yeah. It's all the same, huh?
Yeah. Coconut. First of all, if you're trying to lose weight, all oils have 9 calories per gram. I don't care if it's extra virgin olive oil from Tuscany. It's better for your heart, but it's still going to stop your weight loss. All fats are going to really slow down your weight loss. Sorry, that's just the way the body works. In the research studies that we do, if a person is stuck, we say, let's track what you've eaten for a day or 2 days and look through it. And you will see something fatty in there most cases. And it's not necessarily bad fats, but it's just a calorie bomb for them. That said, among the plant oils, coconut oil and palm oil are just really very high in saturated fat. And yes, your cholesterol level will rise with them.
Dr. Neal Barnard. Oh, by the way,
I'd like to say cheerier things, rather that so many products do have coconut oil and palm oil added to them that you don't need. Peanut butter used to be peanuts. Now they add palm oil to it to make it more buttery mouthfeel. So anyway,
unnecessary. What's wrong with just grinding up peanuts? You
That's
go there,
my point.
you go into the store. A lot of them have in the bulk section. You can just grind your own peanuts right there.
That's better.
That's better butter.
Yes,
Anyway.
you got it.
Congratulations are in order to you, my friend. I just discovered waiting backstage that the Power Foods Diet, #1 weight loss diet book already on Amazon on day 1 of release.
Well, thank you. That's terrific news. Thank you.
So congratulations to you for putting the power in all of the palm of our hands. And Chef Dustin Harder, thank you so very much for being here, my friend. Your recipes are delicious. Your bow tie is also delicious. Stefanie Ignoffo, your skates were delicious. Your personality infectious.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Dr. Barnard, you're just a man. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you to all of you. So, Thank you, Chuck Carroll.